What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
Welcome back to another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. Tonight, we are going to kick things off and talk a lot of Kentucky things. Well, at least a lot of them will be in reference to some Kentucky players and the some Kentucky history. It'll have some sort of Kentucky mixed in with it. But our first topic for tonight is we're going to touch on a little bit of the NBA Summer League. There are two guys that everybody else knows very well, that are being shut down after just two games, and that is Mr. Reed Sheppard and Cooper Flagg. The two games that Reed Sheppard has played, he averaged 23 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, and 1.5 blocks.
4 steals is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then Cooper Flagg averaged 20.5 points and 5 rebounds. And then also something interesting, I don't know if you all had seen this as well, but I did read something that mentioned that, with everything that happened with KD and the Suns and Rockets, how they had that trade go on, that Reed Sheppard's name was brought up in the mix of that at the beginning, and then the Rockets were like, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. I don't know if y'all had read anything like that, but I thought that was really, the Rockets organization believes in him if they're saying that, and a lot of people, probably would think, well, he is a lottery pick and he's playing in the NBA Summer League his second year. Like, what is there to believe in him? I'm going to let you all touch on that. I think it was the system that he went into, the roster they had a big impact on that. But let's throw it over to you all. Colton, what are some of your initial thoughts? Let's start with our Kentucky boy, Reed Sheppard.
Yeah. So obviously we talked about it, how he went into a situation where there's a lot of guards on the Rockets. And that, we're talking about a guy that's like 18 too, and it's not like he's the most physically gifted guy. Like he's going to have to earn his, and he's going to have to work hard. It's not just something that's going to come absolutely natural based on size or athletic. Like in the NBA, he's going to have to work a lot harder. But he come into a situation where there was a lot of guards. They moved him down into the G League at one point in the season. He immediately dropped 50 points. They brought him right back up. Right. So like he can score. But what I love to see in the summer league was like he shot it like 25 times or over 20 times, like both games or something like that. And my hope is that obviously he was in the summer league with guys like he was the guy. But my hope is that he understands that. I think that's got to be his role. Right? Like he's that type of shooter. So I think the Rockets want him to be that type of scorer. Now, I don't think he's going to go out there and shoot 25 times a game in the NBA like the regular season, but he probably needs to be a guy that's getting up 10 to 12 shots a game. Like he just does. That's what a big reason why they drafted him was his shooting ability. So he needs to get it up. So I just think that they see potential in him. Obviously, he's a culture guy, right? He's a guy that I think they look at him knowing that he's a kid that's going to work. He's a good kid. Like, he's never going to cause problems. He's going to continue to try to get better. I'd say the whole teammates like him. So I think that's why the Rockets were like, no, we need to give this kid, the chance. We think that he has a bright future. So I'm excited for him. Cooper Flagg, the second game, I think he dropped 31 points. I think that's the Cooper Flagg you're going to get. He done a lot of really good things. He had a couple monster blocks. Made some really good assists in the couple games that I saw. I think the biggest thing, I think we kind of talked about that, was the few times that I saw him try to go one-on-one, faced up. And at 6'10", he's very athletic, but he just doesn't have that type of step to get by someone faced up at the three-point line. But I saw him try to do that a couple times, and he was not getting by them. And so I think he's either going to have to learn that, his moves need to be, catch it with the back to the ball, like the free throw line,
It's what
and
KD
then
and LeBron you
right,
have like that's what you
right,
have to do. I mean,
and
that's how
at
you
that
get your
size,
shots.
right, and get to work that way. So I mean, he scored a lot. He done a lot of good things. I think they saw what they wanted to out of Reed Sheppard and Cooper Flag, and I think that's why they shut them down because they think they're going to be big parts of their lineup. No reason to get them risk getting hurt. But I'm excited to watch both players.
Mason, I want to hear your thoughts on it, but I also want you to start off answering it. Is it realistic to see Reed Sheppard get good minutes this year, given the roster they have, in your opinion? Or, and obviously, yes, he's a Kentucky boy, so take your biased opinions away. Or is it still probably going to be one of those years that's kind of just, fill him out? He's going to be in, he might play 15 minutes one game, and then one game he might just play 4 minutes. Or is it going to be something maybe you see that could be a consistent 10 to 15 minute bench player throughout the year?
No, I think he's going to get consistent minutes, and that was my initial thought once I saw that they were shutting him down, and how much, that was probably kind of their emphasis to him going into the summer league. Hey, I want you to get up a lot of shots. This is your team here in the summer league. It's here for you to grow and get better. So I think that them shutting him down after 2 games, I know they were 0-2, it's the summer league, but I think them shutting him down is a good sign. I think he'll be, the kind of the point guard, the leader of that second group, coming in, kind of controlling the game, being able to use his IQ to just, you need that in NBA. You got to have somebody be able to come in and control the game and limit, other team from making runs and get back in the game. I think it's going to be great for him. I think we'll see him some with KD too. I think he's a great piece around KD. KD draws so much attention, and I know he struggled a little bit shooting the ball in the summer league. I think he was only, with his standards, I think he only shot like 32% from three, which is not great for his standards. Um, but I think, putting him out there with KD draws so much attention. I think that's going to be a big part of his emphasis and role on this team is being able to knock down that open shot, and create that extra space for KD and other guys to kind of navigate. Um, as far as Cooper Flag goes, yes, second game was much better. I agree, Colton. He's going to have to get used to that. Back to the basket, being able to use his size to create offense for himself. I think if he can start knocking down, and don't get me wrong, he's a decent shooter. But if he can become a great shooter from three, that's going to start causing guys to fly out anymore, and then be able to put it on the floor and use his athleticism to get to the basket and finish around there and get by people. I I think Cooper, that first game just getting adjusted. The second game he looked much better. I did see an interesting stat. I know he only played 2 games, but he averaged. I think he had 5 rebounds both games, and they were all defensive. So it wasn't crashing the offensive glass very hard. But I think that'll come with time. Him get more aggressive and just learning the game and the physicality here in the NBA.
Wonder who that call comes from. You ever think like who's the one who does, like, is it Jason Kidd for the Mavericks, or is it the president of operations, or is it the general manager, or is it, like, I mean, there's so many head honchers, like,
Yeah,
or do they collectively, like, okay, like,
I'd
and
I'd
say
say it's
also,
so.
probably
like, I wonder
collective.
if it
Yeah.
was like going in beforehand, they were like, okay, we're gonna let Cooper play 3 games if he hasn't felt good, or like, he may have just played one if he had dropped 31 the first game. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yep.
what's
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
uh,
I'm sure. I think that's probably like a collective going in. Like, hey, let's give him 2 games. If he has a good game in one of those games, and let's shut him down. If he comes out the first game and feeling it, playing well, let's shut him down. Just
do
to get
you
him a little bit of.
okay? So let's just say the roles revert. Colton, do you think that had Cooper Flag or Reed Sheppard came out and not played well those 2 games apiece, and just say those points were more like 7 points a game and like three, do you think that they would have continued to play, or do you think they would
I
still have
I
shut them
don't
down?
I don't think so because I think there's a fine line there of getting used to it and not losing confidence. Right? Like you don't want them to go out there and struggle and lose some confidence. You want them to hopefully gain it. So like that's kind of why you play. But at the same time, if you see them out there and like, okay, we might be better off if we like they got a lot of media and pressure on them early. Like let's get them back into the camp. Like let's get them back in and do some work with them. and understand that, like, and see what we can work on based on that. I think of Reed Sheppard, like I should have mentioned this, but like after watching someone like T.J. McConnell for the for the Pacers in the finals, like to me, like that's where like that's someone like Sheppard could be. Like that's like to me that should be an ideal piece. Like he's been a solid NBA player. He's never been All Star. Like he's not going to be that, but like he is a very impactful player. And I mean, you're talking about someone that's not that very tall, but he's very like he's quick. He uses athleticism the best he can shoot the ball, put it like he has a very high IQ. I think that's Shepherd to a T. I think if he can figure out how to make that type of impact like on the team, then he'll have a successful career in the NBA.
There's
He'll be
always
in
a
the
Never be
NBA a
place.
long time. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Um,
I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's continue on with Kentucky stuff. So, when this releases, it will be on Friday, July 18th, and this is the start of the TBT. The TBT is known as the basketball tournament. It is a tournament that it's just like an open application process. It's single elimination tournament. And what it is there are teams that's usually alumni based who compete for a $1 million prize. So I mean, they're playing for a lot of money. And the Kentucky Wildcats put in last year for the first time their alumni team known as La Familia. La Familia, that's kind of like was John Calipari's thing during his tenure at Kentucky. Last year, Kentucky, La Familia had a good run, made it to the Final Four, ended up getting beat. But just want to talk about this year's roster. Okay, so I'm going to throw out some names. I'm not saying the entire roster, I'm just talking about the Kentucky guys who's played at Kentucky. And we're going to kind of break it down a little bit and talk a little bit about what if they can make some noise again this year. So this year's La Familia roster is Aaron Harrison, Andrew Harrison, the twins, Ansley Almanor recently this past year, Archie Goodwin, DeAndre Liggins, Deron Lamb, Khalil Whitney, and Willie Cauley Stein. Um, I'm going to start off and I'm going to just talk about one guy that is kind of was not shocking, but I I was just intrigued by it, and just like good for Kentucky, good for them, and that is Khalil Whitney. With everything that transpired a couple months ago, I think we may have talked a little bit about it on our podcast here, but he was just made a comment about saying like maybe all I need was a hug, and then it proceeded to open floodgates. He got to talking about how like his time at Kentucky wasn't really what he wanted it to be, and all of BBN started sending him messages and just putting out some really good things about the guy. I think this is good for him, and I think it's good for Kentucky both. I think that there are maybe I don't know what truly happened because he didn't even play that full season, did he? I
No,
don't.
I don't
I
no,
think
don't.
no. He
Yeah,
was
so.
injured.
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if there was something that was wrong with him, or like if he had something going on personally, or if he had something going on with Kentucky, like the team aspect of it. However, I think this is a good step for both parties. I think that it's going to be exciting for him. He might get to, with him being injured, he might to actually get to relive what it is to put some sort of Kentucky jersey on, because last year's games, I don't know if y'all watched, but when they were at Rupp, they were packed. I mean, it was, Colton, did Eli,
Mhm.
did they go to
Yeah,
one?
yeah, they
Okay,
went.
yeah,
They're
that's what I
they're
thought.
going. I don't know if Eli's going, but my sister and some of my family they're going this Friday when they play
Okay.
to
So I
Rupp.
mean, like
So
it's a good environment. I
yeah,
mean, it's what you would think. BBN shows up, shows out, and that's what this is all about. Um, so that was one of my guys I was looking at. I was like, that's very interesting. I don't know how much he'll actually play and be able to impact because we got some guys on there that can. They're still buckets. But go ahead, Mace. I want to hear what are some of your initial thoughts on La Familia. You can go anywhere with it, whatever you want to go.
Yeah. First thing, Khalil Whitney, what you mentioned, all kind of what happened and went down. I saw he mentioned something, about he did this because he wants to come back, and be in good graces with BBN and try to kind of mend things. And, I thought that was good. And there was a lot of positive responses on X, to whoever tweeted that about, you were going through stuff, come back, we'll support you fully. Can't wait to watch you play, all those things. So I think that's pretty cool that, he is coming back and doing this. And he was a pretty hyped up prospect too, coming
They
out of
called him the
high school.
truth.
Yeah, yeah.
They called him the
Uh,
truth. I can't remember what class he was in.
I don't remember either. Hold on.
I don't have a clue. I mean, honestly,
Khalil.
maybe SGA. I don't.
It was somewhere around there. He was born in 2001, so what, it'd have been like 2019, 2020 area,
So he'd have been
somewhere around
20,
Probably
there.
right after Tyler Harrow era,
20,
wasn't it?
2019 to 2020. Yeah.
2019, 20. Oh no, was he part of the
19.
COVID team
COVID.
that
Yep.
went 9-16?
No, because COVID didn't start until 2020, right? I
Yeah.
think he was
Yeah,
part
So
of that team that it got shut down. March Madness got shut down
that was Tyrese
quickly.
Maxey
Tyrese
and
Maxey.
Quickly.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's great that he's coming back, and and playing for them. One that kind of surprised me last year, he played pretty well and had some good games. When he was at Kentucky, I know a lot of people didn't like the way he played, but Archie Goodwin, I know we weren't very good when he was there. He's play out of control a little bit, but he's a bucket. He can go get a bucket, and we
He
saw
didn't
that
play
some
for us
last year.
last year, did he?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Did he? I
I,
don't know.
I
I
don't
think
think he
so.
did, Mason.
He might have. I don't know.
I really don't think he did.
I don't know.
I don't
I
I've
know. I
thought
seen
it
him
know.
because
play.
I was looking it up as well, and I don't remember. That's why I was like, when I seen Archie Goodwin, I was like, I
I
don't think he
remember the
played for us
I
last
remember the
year.
Harrison twins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I remember
Willie
Harrison
Harrison.
play.
Tully.
Maybe he's played with somebody else before in
He
this
has
tournament.
played with somebody else in this tournament.
Okay, then maybe that's what I'm thinking of because I've seen him in this tournament. I know. Um, but I feel like a lot of fans, whenever he was at Kentucky, and it's probably because we weren't very good that year that he was there. But I feel like a lot of fans didn't really admire him, and kind of give him, the full UK treatment when he was here. So I hope this will be something for him to come back, and get back in good graces too.
Yeah, he played
And
for Eberling Drive last year. I
okay,
knew he didn't play for.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew he played. I remember watching him, but I couldn't remember if it was for us or not. And then one of my all-time favorites, Willie Cauley Stein. It's always exciting to watch him put on the jersey and come out there and play.
Why is
Go
Willie
ahead.
Cauley Stein? I mean, this is a serious question. Why is Willie Cauley Stein not in the NBA? I mean, I mean, all
Yeah.
things considered. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at some of these big that are in the NBA. I'm not even saying he has to be a starter, but I mean, okay, let me give you Jackson Hayes. You're telling me that Willie Cauley Stein cannot do what Jackson Hayes' role is
Yeah.
at the Lakers? Like now, not now, but
At the
because he's been
time.
out at the time though.
Yeah. How old is Willie Cauley now? Probably 31 to 32. I don't even know if he's 30 yet, but he's pretty close to it.
Yeah, he's got to be close.
I mean,
Got to
he was
be
31.
2015. Yeah.
31. Yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you take some of those guys like the JaVale McGee's when they were playing, like, right, the guys who were just constantly in there, they only have a
Shot
few
blockers,
things to
and
do,
like they're
right?
not
Like,
gonna
they
make
don't,
they're not gonna
right.
make any offense happen on their own.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Catching lobs.
Yeah.
Just standing
Yeah.
by the
No.
rim.
I mean, Willie Cauley he's definitely a fan favorite.
Well,
I,
he's a fan favorite more, not even just because of his play, but because of how much he loves BBN. I mean, he's came on to
oh, right.
KSR multiple times. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. I mean,
Yep.
he is. He loves Kentucky. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see. I think it's a good combination of some veteran guys and you throw in a little, with Almanor immediately just leaving the season. Did y'all see they scrimmaged UK today?
I didn't
I
see
And
didn't
anything
see
about
it.
that.
they scrimmaged the UK, like the UK team today, and apparently like UK won by 8. I don't know if that's a good thing for La Familia or a bad thing for UK. Like, and I don't know who knows how hard they went.
Yeah.
But they said the Harrison twins and I can't remember who it was, but the Harrison twins and someone else like stood out in that, and then like apparently Oway and like Lowe were like the obvious like two best players. So I think they're all supposed to come on. I think the entire La Familia team is supposed to come on the KSR. This is we're recording this Wednesday night. They're coming on Thursday. It's going to be released Friday, but so that's exciting. Kind of they should be able to give you kind of an in depth,
Yeah.
a little bit about the team, like where they think they are and like what they think they can do. So they're going to kind of give the first like initial like, hey, like these are the guys, like this is where they're really going to be good at.
Why are they
So
not coming on a
It-
BSM? Bluegrass State
yeah,
of Mind. Why
you're right.
can't we get them
You're
out
right.
here?
I agree.
Come
We
on,
should have
man.
sent them an invite. We could. I mean, La Familia, like they're retired. They may be looking for anything, right?
Yeah.
But they'd probably be like, yeah, y'all write us a check or something. we
Yeah,
had no
something like we
we
got a
had
free
no
hat,
we
We
maybe.
got hats. Yeah.
we had no money.
We had no money.
But
But I think it'll
regardless,
be.
go ahead, Mason.
I was just gonna say, I think it'll be good to hear insight from them, because these guys have been through college and they've played in it, and they, give a true feel of, okay, this team's got it, or here's the things they need to work on and grow and develop and get a little bit better. So I think that'll be good to hear. You got a national champion and DeAndre Liggins and Deron Lamb on the team. So they've won one, they know what it takes. So I think it'll be good to hear their insight and get to play against them and go up against them.
Yeah. Well, regards to the TBT, I think it's good to watch, especially for alumni, and it's very, very competitive. I mean, you talk about last year where La Familia went up against the Ville. That could be a possible rematch. And again, we are their daddies. We are the bigger brother. Like whatever you
Forever and
want to
always.
say. Like it don't matter what we're doing. Like they are not like any Louisville fans out there. I just you just you need to give it up. Like it's not going to happen. So, well, this is our last little thing of UK. So I sent the guys something I thought would be cool because we were talking a little bit about Kentucky stuff. But at first we were going to do the three greatest UK moments, like that we personally have been a part of, or that we recalled, some that sticks out. But then the more I got to thinking about it, I was like, we're probably going to have it. Probably majority the same ones. So we kind of switched it up a little bit. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to choose one, but we're going to do it, title it as one of the most underrated greatest UK moments. And the ones that are listening out here, you may not even recall what one of ours is, but that's because it's ours. Like I like the one that I wrote down. I know exactly where I was at. I vividly I can imagine it right now where I was sitting. But that's the point of it is it's something that's underrated, but it's also a great moment because you remember it. Mason, let's start with you. What's one of the greatest underrated UK moments that you've had? Just give us one on that, and you can
So
break it down. I'm gonna break mine down. I'm gonna tell you like how much time was left, whatever. But you do whatever you want.
now, I'm just gonna keep it here. Kind of going back to us being Louisville's daddy. Them always being the little brother. I'm gonna go back
Woo.
to 2016, whenever Kentucky football beat Louisville, and Lamar Jackson. One of my favorite times. Louisville was all hyped that year. They had Lamar Jackson. One of my underrated, most greatest moments. I know y'all might go with basketball or something else, but Louisville kind of kicked our butt there for a little while in football, and this was just awesome to get, awesome to see, especially, Louisville's having a great season. Lamar Jackson kind of coming out that year, breakout season, and then we come in and beat them. It was 41-38 was the final score. And I think Austin McGinnis, my favorite kicker as well, by the way, at Kentucky, he hit so many big field goals for us. But Austin McGinnis hit like a 47-yard field goal for Kentucky to win with like 10 or 11 seconds left. So
I do
that
remember
is
that.
that is mine.
Um, I guess I was locked in on basketball for some reason.
I like that though. I was
But
too, but I
well,
like
that's
that.
so since you said that, I'm going. Yeah, I'm just going to give two. I'm just going to give a basketball and a football
All
because I was
right.
going to go with originally one. It actually turned out not to be. We ended up losing, But
Oh, whoa! Are you got to say a basketball one or a football one?
a basketball one, we lost. Unless
You
you're going
need
to, are you
Are
you
you
going to
gonna
need
go
to
with
say
the
go with
same
North?
one?
you need to
Are you
go
gonna
with
say
a
North
football
Carolina?
one. You need to go with a football one so I can go with this basketball one just in case it's the same one.
I'm sure it is.
Is it
I
North
know who you're.
Carolina?
No, I bet
Oh.
no. I bet he's going to go with Patrick Sparks.
Oh yes, that is it.
He's
Oh
going to go
my
Michigan
goodness.
State. Patrick Sparks
Yes.
hitting
I
that
Are
double
remember.
you?
pump three.
Oh,
I
oh, I
remember
got
where
Um,
I
it.
was. I
Man, I
remember
Patrick,
cannot
I
exactly
believe
where
me
I
we
too.
was.
both. Oh, I cannot believe we both done that. Yes, I
Okay,
remember
my
exactly where it's
my
at.
football one is going to be Andre Woodson and us playing LSU and
I
stopping them in
remember that.
overtime to
I was
beat the no.
there.
They were number one, right?
I
They
was
number
there.
one. We had on, and we went to 5-0 or 6-0. Just took down number one. And I think we got all the way up to like eighth
Yeah.
in the rank. Granted, I think we went on to lose like 4 of the last like 6 games or something.
That was
But at
that.
that time, we were like, "Oh man, you got Stevie Johnson Jr. You had Raphael or Little in the backfield, Andre Woodson, Jacob
Was
Tammy, a
with
tight
Tammy. I
end.
was gonna say, was Dickie
Oh
Lyons
my,
on that team?
and Dickie Lyons
Dickie Lyons
Jr.
Jr. Yeah.
And there was another receiver, like, Burton or something like that.
Yeah.
Some
Keenan
Burton,
Burton.
like Keenan.
Keenan
Like I
Burton.
mean, it
Uh-huh.
was they, them beating Louisville to start the season off, and then them
Yep.
beating well, but LSU. Yeah,
Dude,
I had Patrick Sparks though. Did you?
I
I
Like
cannot
remember
believe. I
I was
literally
at that
cannot
game.
believe you were saying that. And I was like, when you said as soon as you said we lost, I'm like, there's no way. But I'm gonna break it down anyways. I was at my grandparents' house, and I remember it. I mean, I was right in front of the TV. Elite Eight, Michigan State, Kentucky, score 72-75. We get the ball. Patrick Sparks dribbles, pulls up, misses. Azubuike gets it, goes to the corner, shoots almost like a fadeaway almost. And I don't know how in the world, but it bounces right back to Patrick Sparks. Has to like take a step back to get to the three. And it's the
he like
double pump. Like
Uh-huh.
I mean, and the ball, I don't know if y'all know, but it like, went back and watched it again today, but it was just like slow motion. Like hits the front of the rim, back of the rim, goes in. We ended up losing, like Cone said, in double overtime, but it was still one of those underrated greatest moments. I feel like just from like my childhood, uh, seeing
I remember.
Patrick Sparks. Like I mean, like Patrick Sparks, you look at him and you're like, what? Like
I
baggy
remember it.
short sleeves. Like you're like this guy's what's he doing on a D1 college? Like, but he's a bucket.
I'll never forget this. At where I was at in my house when I was younger, I had like my parents put up like like the portable basketball goes, and they cut the top of the backboard and a rim off of that, and they hung it up in my room. So I had like a real full size
He
basketball
was
go in
Patrick
there, and
Sparks.
they drew a 3-point line, and I was in there playing, watching it, and I will never forget whenever I got done, I was so mad that we lost. I took the ball and I threw it at my closet door and put a big dent and hole in it. My parents were so mad at me. They were like, "It's not that serious," and I was like, "Yes, it is."
It is that serious. When it comes to Kentucky, it is. Claire's done
It's
texted
like,
me and told me to quieten down.
keep it down, Dylan.
Got the kids asleep, but when we start Kentucky, I get hyped. That's it for all of our Kentucky stuff. We are going to shift gears now to the last major of the year, and we'll be on this topic for a while. But we have the Open Championship, which is the 153rd Open. It's being played at Royal Portrush's in at Dunluce Links in Northern Ireland. This is the oldest championship that the PGA has. It's the third time that's it's been hosted here. The last time was in 2019 when Shane Lowry won. The course is 7,300 yards, and it's just the link style like we talked previously last year at the Scottish Open. It's got the elevated bunkers, the blind shots, the wind. Um, let's just talk about what the open means. We got a lot of different segments. We're going to talk a little bit about Scotty's comments tonight about this. We're going to talk about who our favorites are. Um, there's a lot of, but let's kind of just talk about, I guess, for the first off, let's just talk about what the open means to a PGA player. Uh, Colton, I know I like to lead with you on older stuff because like me and Mason have said, you've you know golf a lot better. You've been a part of it, but what does the Open mean? Not that it doesn't even have to be at St. Andrews. I know that's like the end
Right.
all beat all. Like that is like the monument, like Mountain Rushmore of like where you could win. But just in general, the Open as a PGA Tour player, what does it mean to play
Yeah,
in the Open and to proceed to possibly win the Open?
yeah. So I mean, you're talking about the home of golf, right? The European, like I mean, this is where golf essentially started. Over in Europe, and this is where the game started. And so when you talk about like their major championship, you're not just playing for another major. You're playing for essentially the major. You're playing for a championship of the at the home of golf, right? I mean, and so when you especially you take all those guys that really talk about the history of it and that truly appreciate the great like legends of the game and the history behind where it started and the ones who the ones who kind of founded it and built it up to what it is. Like that's what a lot of the Open is about. You don't hear a lot about like history when you talk about the PGA. You don't hear that even that much about the US Open. You hear the tradition kind of when it comes to the Masters, but you really think about like the history of the game when you think about the Open. And so I think that's why it's so important because they're like, this is where it all started. I want to try to win where this game that I've worked my whole life to be at and to succeed at, like this is where it started over here. So to win the championship over here, I think a lot of guys take pride in that. And so obviously it's a different style of golf, but I think that that's what makes the Open so special is just the history behind the game and what it really means when those guys they really get to thinking about like how this game came to be. So
Yeah, Mason. So what are your thoughts on it, on just in general the Open itself? Like before we dig into anything else, like what's something that maybe sticks out to you?
Yeah, no, I agree with what Colton said there. I think the first one, if I remember, was 1860. I think was when the first one was played, and 2019. I think they moved around kind of the schedule, and the PGA Championship got moved to in May, and then this became like the last major of the year. And it's, the winner they kind of call the champion golfer of the year, kind of a title they give. They get the claret jug and things. So I think that just speaks to the history, kind of the last major. You win this one, we kind of hold on to that for the rest of the year and into next year. So yeah, it's definitely a big tournament. Colton talked about all the history behind it. Exciting tournament. Different course, different style of play that we get to see with this particular major as well. So it's always fun. Like he said, all the history behind it. It's just a fun one and exciting one to get behind.
Yeah, obviously, like I've mentioned, the Open comes with its challenges. One of those challenges is the wind. With it being off the sea. Another challenge is shot framing. You can hit shots completely different than you can in the United States. You can bring whatever you want and probably work your way around the golf course with 5 or 6 different clubs around the green. Um, but let's kind of go to what Scotty Scheffler. Colton, do you want to talk a little bit about this, or do you want?
yeah,
Uh, if
yeah.
you've
So I
got
haven't.
any of the quotes, go ahead and mention them. But go ahead, take it.
Yeah, so obviously Scotty being the number one player in the world, he's won the Masters, he's won the PGA Championship. He still needs the U.S. Open and the Open to complete the Grand Slam. But they so of course during the media day, I think a reporter essentially asked him, like they do every tournament, what it would mean to him to win, the Open Championship. And as Scotty, being Scotty, he talked about how it's being he's a competitor. Obviously, he would love to win it, but then he pretty much went into detail about how yes, he would love to win it, but after having a few minutes of that sense of accomplishment and joy, that essentially, the next thing he's thinking about, like he said, was, what are we having for dinner? Like, what's for dinner? Like, and he said it's just a few minutes of true like joy. And he said, then the next thing you're thinking is like, because the next week comes and they play the FedEx Cup or something, and like the reporters are going to ask him what it would mean to be a FedEx Cup champion, what it would mean to win the FedEx Cup. And he said, so it's just a short little time. And essentially, what he kept saying was he struggles with battling mentally about
What's the point?
what's the point, right? Like he keeps saying, what's the point? He said, we work hard every day. And he said, I love working hard. I love competing. I love trying to win. He said, but at the end of the day, he said, even if I win, I'll sit there and have that few minutes of accomplishment and then it's gone. And I think that's where he was kind of like, so what's the point of doing all that if that's all you get out of it is that few minutes of enjoyment and accomplishment? And the reason that he was saying that is because in his eyes, what really mattered to him was he talked about being a father and being a good husband and these type of things in life. And that, of course, that's why we love Scotty, right? Not only is he the best player in the world, but he's that type of person. And that's true, so it makes you it made it, have a different outlook on it. And what it made me kind of think of is Rory, like winning
I
that
thought about that too.
Masters and Scotty just talking about having that few minutes of just like accomplishment. And like, I saw some people say that like what they were when they were trying to figure out what was wrong with Rory. And essentially some of them were like, it's like you climbed to the top of Mount Everest and you got there and it was like,
What's
now
next?
what? Right.
Yeah.
Like what now what? Instead of being like, yes, it's amazing and it fulfilling like a hole. And that's what Scotty said also. It doesn't like fill a hole for him. Like winning these tournaments doesn't like feel what he truly desires. And that's what I think really happened to Rory. I think he chased it so hard and I think he thought in his mind that if he ever got it, it would fill this void or fill this space that maybe, he was looking for and maybe he did and it did for a little bit and then like it wasn't long after that he was kind of like, man, that's it now, right? Like where's the hey, I think I'd say Rory probably asked himself like, what's the point? What's the point? If this is the top feeling I can feel now, like what's the point in going to play the next tournament? Like what's the point in going to do this? What's the point in working hard and grinding still? And look, that's a self battle. That's it's everything else. It's like everything else in a daily job, right? If you get promoted on Friday and they have a party for you and everyone's telling you congratulations, all that means is come Monday you have more work to do, right? Like, so I mean, you feel that enjoyment on Friday because it's what you've been working for, and then Monday you have this greater responsibility. And so they definitely feel those as athletes. I just thought it was a really good, heartfelt, interview from Scotty, and it kind of puts things into perspective, what some of these guys are really chasing, and how it kind of is just pretty much a job to a lot of these guys, which is what it is,
Mason, do you want to comment first, or how do you want?
Yeah.
Don't matter.
Yeah. I guess all the things you said, Cole, that's just the type of person Scotty is, and he talked about, what he really wants to focus on. His most important thing, is being a good father and being a good husband. And he mentioned in there, if it ever came to the point where, it was taking away from him being a good father or a good husband, then he'd give it up in a heartbeat, no, not even a second thought to it. So, my kind of initial thing after I heard him say that was, how much longer do we see Scotty? His son's going to be, here in 5 or 6 years, he's going to be, probably playing sports or doing things. And Scotty's probably not going to want to be traveling all over the world and missing these events. So, type of person Scotty is and all that he's done already, like he said, I mean, he's already accomplished so much. What else? I mean, yes, there's some things he has left to accomplish, obviously. But at this point, like he's done all these things. He's worked his whole life to get to this point. Here he is, I guess that's my biggest question. Do we see Scotty in his career earlier than a lot of these other golfers because of his personality, and how he feels and his values and the way he goes about his life? So that was my biggest takeaway. Enjoy it while it lasts, because hearing that from Scotty and the type of person he is, who knows how much longer he may be here playing the game of golf.
I mean, Rory's the same way, right? I could see Rory, like, if he, depending on what he wins, like where he tries to find motivation. But, you definitely know he's going to be excited for the Masters. But, guys like that, like they're going to play, like, essentially they're going to focus on the majors. But now, like obviously Scotty still has a couple majors that he can go win, a couple things he can go. But there's not a whole lot for Rory anymore. Like, there just isn't. I mean, he's won all the majors. He's won all the players, a lot of the Arnold Palmer. He's won all these big Pebble Beach. He's won all these events. He's been a Ryder Cup a great Ryder Cup player. He's won Ryder Cups. I mean, there's not a lot for him left, and he's at 36 years old or something like that. So I mean, it will be interesting to see where Rory finds motivation and how long he continues to play. With technology, these guys can play till 50. I mean, but it's interesting when they start putting that into perspective like that.
Yeah. Um. So I don't want to be redundant on what you all said. I mean, I agree with everything you all said. I mean, I'm a family man. I love Scotty's comments on everything he said. However, uh, I didn't really think about this point until I heard when I was watching the Golf Channel do their segment on this, and Brendan Chambly brought up a really good point that I want to bring up. So this isn't my point. I don't want to take credit for it, but I am going to pretty much give you his point in my words. When Scotty says that, you work your whole life, you do all this work, this preparation, just for a couple of minutes of glory, and then it's just like, well, what's next? What's for dinner? That's what you mentioned, Colton. That's what Scotty's viewpoint is, and that the reason why that's what Scotty's viewpoint is because he doesn't have to worry about next week. He's going to be on tour. He doesn't have to. He's got boo koodles of money. He's good. He's good at golf, but he's good. Like, he's set for a long time. So when he's talking about, like, what's the point? Like, it only lasts for just a couple minutes. That's just for Scotty. Let's just take Peter Molinari from last year, who was fighting to save his tour status, who was on the brinks of not having a job. You're telling me that his win only lasted a couple of minutes, and then it was just like, what's for dinner? Like, I understand what Scotty's saying, but there's only very few people who can actually think that way, because majority of these guys that are actually on tour don't win as much as Scotty wins. And when they do win, I'm sure it lasts a lot longer than just a couple minutes. Like, for some guys who are on the brink of losing a job, it's probably going to last a lot longer than even just a couple of weeks. Like, that means something. And I'm not saying that it doesn't mean something. A win doesn't mean something to Scotty, but it means a lot more for someone who is fighting to put food on the table for their family who might not have a job next week. And again, Scotty doesn't have to worry about that. Like, when Scotty wins, I'm sure it's just like, that was fun. I love winning. Put the trophy on the case, put it in a room. I don't even think he has a case. I think I heard an interview where he's just like, he has a room that he just puts it in. He just sits on so, but for some of these guys, like, they're going to hold that thing. They might sleep with it. Like, they might hold it in their arms that night, because, like, it means so much more to them. So that's kind of the point that Brandel Chambly brought up, and I was like, man, that is such a good point. Like, you get to thinking about, like, these guys that are on tour who are not your Scotties, who doesn't get this media attention, who doesn't have the endorsement deals, who literally are having to pay because they're contracted by themselves. Like, they have to pay for the hotels, the travel, everything. And if you don't make the cut, like, you don't get paid, so you lose money. So, what are y'all's thoughts on that? I mean, like, I thought that was very eye-opening. Like, I was like, because you can take his comments a lot of different ways, but I just thought that was very interesting. Like, that's a really good point, because, like, some guys, that it means a lot more than just a couple of minutes of glory and a hug and thinking, oh, what's for dinner?
Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's a good point. I think that it obviously does mean a lot. Now, I will say though, like, it would be interesting to kind of think of that, because, like, Peter Minotti, like he has pretty much done nothing since that win. I mean, has done nothing. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if he, like, still thinks of that win. Like, obviously he's going to be happy that it kept him on tour, and gave him another opportunity to play and everything else. But at the same time, now he's went a good ways, like a good while without doing anything. So like, is that like still even on his mind, or is he back to
Yeah.
like what's going on? But I will say, I really think that the thing with Scotty, I think one day when he finally finishes up, like I think he'll be able to look back and actually enjoy or like think of those moments when he won. I just think in the here and now, right now, where he's so successful, and every single week I mean, he's a top 10 machine. If he's not winning, he's in the top 10.
Hmm.
But with him having two young kids,
Two.
I mean, right? Don't he have two now, or is he's got one on the way, don't he? Or at least
Oh, does he?
looked at it. I could have swore maybe I'm
This is
wrong.
news to me.
Maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong. Sorry. I was thinking for some reason he had two. I guess
He
not.
might
I guess
be.
the no. I guess
Oh
this
no,
one was
there's
the one.
yeah. He just has one, Bennett.
Okay,
Bennett.
okay.
Yeah.
But you got a young kid, and so I mean, his priorities are just different right now. A lot of these guys like Malnati. I mean, he probably had. I think he's got kids, but I think they're
Yeah, he has a
probably
bunch.
yeah. I mean, so I mean, yeah, there is. But there's also it's different in a lot of ways because it's hard to sit there and say like they're getting to play this game for a living. Like I mean, we're talking about guys that are firefighters, police officers, guys that make 45,000 on the year and they're putting their lives on the line every day. Right. So, I mean, if these golfers finish, they make one cut, right? And they get one 30th finish, 30 place finish in the season. They've probably doubled, a salary of someone that's working 50 hours a week, like that type of job. So, I mean, at times, yes, it is important to a lot more people because they don't want to have to go back to that. They want to be able to continue playing. They don't want to have to go through the grind of the Corn Ferry, stuff like that. It has no doubt. But at the same time, like when you think of what you could be doing and what a lot of people are out there doing, having to grind just to to put food on the table, I hope that they kind of also just appreciate the fact that they even still are having the opportunity to play.
Hmm.
And that, with that being said, with Young comment still on that, or Mason comment on that, but then that can lead us into the Grant. We wanted to mention a little bit of the Grant Horvat.
Yeah. No, so back to kind of what you said, Dylan. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's, kind of a different mindset and approach for these different players, obviously, but I think that just has a lot to do with there's not a whole lot of people left in this world like Scotty Scheffler, I mean, he's just such a good person, such a good heart, and I think he said it. He said like I worked my whole life to get to this point, and I'm a competitor. He was like I hate losing. I do, so that's kind of why I do it. I go out here and try to be the best I can, and everybody loves to win, but I just think for Scotty, there's just something more he wants to do, and not everybody's going to have that mindset. Millions of people would give up, a lot of things to be in Scotty Scheffler's position and, be as good at golf and live out their dream and do all the things that he's been able to do and make all this money. But I think that just speaks to really who Scotty is more than anything. And I don't know what the future holds for him. I could see him doing a ton of different things, charity, nonprofit, whatever it is, it's just the type of guy Scotty is. But obviously, it does. The wins do mean more for these guys who are fighting for their job every week, right? Could you imagine going into work one week and saying, hey, I got to get this much done this week, or, I'm going to be out of a job next week. How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? So it definitely does mean more for some of these guys who aren't haven't won as much as Scotty has. Um, you want me to go ahead and go into the Grant Horvat thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So Grant Horvat, he is a golfer, YouTube golfer who, if none of y'all have watched him before, he's kind of came up in the YouTube world here within the last year or so. You've had your good goods and Bob Does Sports, but he's really kind of jumped into the spotlight here within the last year or two. And him and Phil Mickelson do a lot of collaboration together. And here recently, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but they've been doing a lot of like the live duels. So before live plays, they'll it'll be like Grant, Fat Perez, the Brian Bros, and then there was one that just came out I think yesterday or today, and it
Yeah,
was
it was awesome.
Bryson. I
Did
know
you watch
I
it?
watched half of it today. I didn't get to
Oh,
finish it.
it's a great ending.
Yeah. And Bryson, John Rahm, and
Dean Burmester.
Dean Burmester. Yeah, so it was, I mean, it was really the YouTube golf. I think gives it a little different perspective. But what happened was Grant Horvat had got invited to the Barracuda. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
And he got invited to play, and he ended up turning down the invitation to play in the Barracuda because they were not going to allow for his film crew to film him playing in that particular event. So I'll kind of let y'all talk about your thoughts on that and what you think. Dylan, you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I think that it's bad for both ways. In a sense that the PGA Tour is missing out on Grant Horvat bringing a different aspect of the YouTube world into the PGA. Because right now, if you know anything about YouTube golf, you know that PGA really doesn't associate itself with YouTube golf very well. Liv is doing a fantastic job, I think. I think most of the Liv guys, but that's the difference though. The PGA is kind of still this not old, but it's still more the like
Traditional.
professional, traditional, and YouTube golf is really not that. And I'm not saying that either way is the right way because I think YouTube golf has so much to offer. It's bringing in different viewers. It's bringing a different crowd, and it's good for golf. You know, it's growing the game. So I do think that the PGA Tour missed out on that, but I also do believe that Grant Horvat is missing out on opportunity to pursue maybe a dream of his. To play a PGA Tour event. And here's what my conclusion has been on the case is that with Grant Horvat not agreeing to come, I mean it's his right. I mean if they have the right to say no, we don't want your media there, which I had no problem with. I don't. It would be kind of awkward. I feel like playing with another guy who's getting filmed every shot, who might have a little bit of a slower pace because he's telling like what's he hitting. I don't think it'd been that bad, but it would have been different. And that's the thing; it's just going to be different for the first person. If it ever does happen, it's going to be something new that's never been done before. And maybe the PGA Tour just is not ready to make that step and be like that first one because then you never know what could come with it. But alongside that, this tells me that Grant Horvat really doesn't care that much about pursuing any type of professional golf whatsoever or putting his name associated with the PGA. He doesn't. All his main focus is growing his brand. Because I'm gonna tell you, if I was invited to a PGA Tour event, like, yeah, sign me up. like like it. So good for him. Takes a lot of guts to actually turn down an exemption like that. You are like you're not even a PGA Tour player card status guy. We are giving you a personal exemption to come play in this tournament. So kudos to him. I mean, he believes in himself. He's betting on himself. He is more concerned about his brand and the YouTube golf world, and as he should be. I mean, he has a great following. He's really. I mean, he's playing with Phil Mickelson, John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau. He's doing something right. I mean, so that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't really think that it's good for both parties in the aspects I said. They're losing out on something, but I don't blame either organization itself either because I don't know that I would want to be the first ones to welcome a big film, even though it's going to be only one or two people, but it would just be different. So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on both ways. My initial thoughts was when I saw it, I was kind of like, man, like you're turning down a chance at an opportunity that many people just dream of getting. And you're doing it because they won't let you film dude, you could play in a PGA Tour event. Like this is the PGA Tour, regardless how big your brand is. Like they're gonna always be bigger. Like they just are. Like the PGA Tour is gonna be bigger than any brand, any YouTuber that can get out there. They just are. I mean, and like my thought is like you couldn't sacrifice one and then like do a video talking about it or do something like give an insight of it. But like I don't think like people dream of getting that opportunity, like and a chance to just play and see what happens. It could be life changing for them, and for to turn it down because of the film like that. Initially, it really bothered me because I was just like, man, that's a whole lot of pride, uh, to turn something like that down. The other side, though, when I got to thinking about it, I'm like Dylan, like he don't care. Like that's not his purpose. Like his purpose is literally he wants to do the YouTube golf and build his brand. And like if that's your purpose, then yeah, I don't. I also agree to not take a spot away from someone else, right? Like I mean, so like I respect it if like that's really what he's doing. Like I my only purpose for doing this was to give the viewers an insight on this and this and that. And other than that, I could care less, like actually about what I shot or trying to pursue or move forward. And so if that's the case, then yeah, like why take it away from someone that's seriously trying to make it, seriously needs an exemption, you know, because who knows, an exemption could get a guy in, he makes a cut, he puts food on the table, as we talked about a minute ago. I mean, it's a big difference, right? So I can see it both sides.
Well, he is not
I just
struggling for money. I can tell you that.
no, he's not exactly, but that's what I'm saying. Like if he'd have played in it and his purpose was literally
Oh yeah.
just to do that, then he takes it away. So truthfully, I just think that I've never been big on YouTube golf. You guys are. I've never been. I just don't. I've never really took the time to just kind of get into it, watch the clips here and there. I think there's a lot of good stuff on there. I've just never really watched it like that. The PGA Tour's done things like that for a long time. They've got contracts. They've got things for a reason. People that are paying money that's kept them up for a long time. So they've got to respect those people. I understand both sides like that don't get to. Like I understand the PGA Tour not letting him. I understand him like wanting to and not doing it. I just I think the PG. I'm like Dylan. I think the only thing is the PGA Tour has a chance to do some more stuff like that
Uh-huh.
to kind of bring in a new crowd. I don't know that an actual PGA event is the place for it, but I think that you could do
Well,
something to start out with a test run because then they kind of do that
I
though.
did.
Like they
That's what I was
do.
going to say. I do want to retract my statements. That even though the PGA Tour, I said the Live is dominating the YouTube golf space. They are right now. Uh, but the PGA Tour did, yes, last year before the FedEx at Eastlake, they did host a. Um, it
Like an
was
influencers
yeah, it
like
was an
thing, right?
influencer, yeah, but it was all YouTube golfers. But it was called I cannot remember what it was called, but
Yeah,
uh, it was basically
Creator
the
the
Creator
something.
creators
Classic, maybe.
Classic. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was YouTube creators come in and they got to play nine holes at Eastlake. And that's what that was. Uh, but I mean, no, I agree with everything you said. I think that I just don't know if the PGA Tour will ever allow that to happen. I can't foresee that happening. Even like I just can't. I can't like that was his shot to go. Um, I could even see them not even asking any other YouTube golfers because that's what these golfers are going to want to do is bring their cameras on course. Which I mean, that's not their right. I mean, they don't have media rights. I mean, that's it's business.
Yep.
I mean, so,
Yeah.
do I think as a viewer, like me at home watching? Yes, I think that it would have been awesome to watch like the insights of the like what he's. Even though we do see that, but it's a different perspective
Yep.
on the YouTube golf. It really is. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I really like it in the duels. I know, mate, Colton, you said you don't watch, but I think you would enjoy it. Like I think like whenever you see a
Side.
different world, yeah, of not only the golf but the players himself. Like
That's.
John Rahm is a really cool guy. Like he's not
Yep.
that jerk that kind of even like I know his media, but like on the course when he's actually playing, he kind of that vibe. But like it's just a different space. But go ahead, Mason.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything y'all said. I get both sides of it. And Grant Horvat has come out multiple times. He's been asked saying, do you ever want to pursue professional golf? And he said no. He was like, I like what I do. I enjoy YouTube golf. He was like, I don't want to have to worry about that pressure every week, of grinding and having to make the cut.
Uh huh.
I looked it up earlier. I think he makes just off YouTube alone Now he has a share in Phil Mickelson's company, the recovery stuff that Phil Mickelson does. Just off YouTube alone, he makes over
Well, he
six
has
hundred
Primo
thousand dollars.
too.
Yeah, he makes over $600,000 a year just off YouTube alone. So like he doesn't need to play professional golf. He gets to play golf for fun every single day and makes money off of it.
Which
And
leads me to my next question for you all both. Would you rather be the best YouTube golfer, or would you rather be an average golfer guy who is making a cut here and there? But you got to really think about this because you're talking about the best YouTube golfer in the world. You don't have to stress about
that's
making
easy for
cuts.
me.
You can play whenever you want. You can get guys who you want. You can play a shamble. You can play a scramble. You can play your own ball. You can play wolf. You can do whatever you want.
Can take off
But
whenever you want.
take off in it, and then whenever you're on the PGA, you are grinding. You miss cuts. You have to play practice rounds. You got to be there for the what do they have every week on that Wednesday? The where you play around with somebody famous
The pro
or
am.
the
Yeah.
pro-ams. Like you got to do all that. The media, you got to deal with the media questions that you don't want to answer sometimes. What would you do, Colton? I know that and the reason why I ask you first because I know you're not a big YouTube, but like,
Yeah.
like, and I'm not talking about a
I
guy that
mean,
you're
it's
like you're
tempting.
making most
Yeah.
cuts. I'm talking about guys like you're like barely making some cuts here and there, but you're still on tour. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's tempting. I think I would still choose a tour. And I just think it's just because if you have the opportunity, each week could be the one, right? Like there's been multiple ones talk about that. Or I saw where Nick Dunlap was talked about how like one tournament can change your entire life. Right? Just one tournament could do it. And I mean, you take some of these guys. Look at Ben Griffin, right? Gave up the game, went and worked in an office, right? And then all of a sudden has one tournament. And then he wins two more times, or he has two or three wins in one season. And now look at him, about to be on a Ryder Cup team. I mean, from going to work in an office, you can't tell me the sense of accomplishment that he has now from being in that office working, giving up the game to all of a sudden getting to be part of the U.S. Ryder Cup team
uh-huh.
doesn't isn't more of a fulfilling accomplishment than to be the YouTuber, right?
Oh,
And
I'm
like
being the YouTuber.
I think
Me
that's what
too,
I would
Dylan.
chase though. Like if you told me to be a YouTuber or I would get to possibly play on the U.S. Ryder Cup team, I'm going to take the U.S. Ryder Cup team every time. Like you have like yes, like I said, I
Well,
don't even know.
though I know, but you're
I don't
changing
hold
up the sequence.
no,
The question
but
was though, like a guy who's barely made. I'm not talking about Ben Griffin. I would rather be probably Ben Griffin. I'm talking about a guy who's
but
barely making cuts though ever, who makes hardly any, just the bare minimum like guy.
okay, if you're sitting there saying like a guy that you'll never finish above the top 50, then yeah, I'd rather be a YouTuber. But if you're just telling me that
You
I've
have
got
a
a
chance.
chance, then that's all you need. Like you have a chance to make history, and that's all Ben Griffin ended up needing. He had a chance, and he's gonna get to live out a dream. Like people will watch YouTube golf, but the entire country will be cheering on for Ben Griffin,
I feel
and
like
that's
Cohen's
an
a low
that.
key hater on YouTube golf.
Listen,
He's
I just it
Corvette's
brings
a
such a
live
different
lover.
it just
He
brings
can
such
go
a
actually.
on
different
somewhere.
aspect.
But but even if you think about that though, Colton, you think about like one of the PGA Tour members himself, Wesley Bryan, a PGA Tour winner, who got. I thought that was kind of whack. I don't know if we don't have to get into all that, but how he was, they banned him because he went and played in one of those things.
It
I I thought that was
it
kind of whack on the PGA. I think that they was
it.
trying to build something that it shouldn't have built. Like
I think that live needs to disappear. And I think that they're going about the game of golf. They are trying to change the game of golf into something that it's not. Like they are applying to a new generation of fans. You can sit there and say that. I agree with that. They are trying their best to connect with that. But I think a lot of ways that they went about the game is they've took away what this is why this major is so like
oh yeah, this is the most
known.
traditional. Like this is one
Right,
like
like it's where like this is where the game of golf like and the way like they're trying Live is trying to change that so much, and that's what bothers me about them more than anything. Like there's a reason like tennis doesn't have music blasting, right? No one's trying to change tennis for some reason. It's the same way everyone's dresses nice, they stay silent, and then they clap after every point. No one's trying to sit there and play music
Pickleball.
during the middle of right.
They got to
But
spin
like,
off.
but what I'm saying is like you don't hear them blasting music during the middle of Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Like that's not they're not trying to change it. So why are you trying to change this game? Like this is a game
I
for
just
like I don't know.
I think YouTube just gives you such a different aspect, like Dylan mentioned. You get to see a lot more of the personalities of these players, right? Just out there,
No.
having a kind. It makes it more relatable, right?
It's also more appeal. I mean, let's just shoot the ball straight. And we're running short on time. We're at an hour and 5 minutes. Let's kind of close up in 5 minutes
All right,
here.
all
But
right.
I'm gonna go and then Mason let you. I think that it's more YouTube golf is more appealing to your worst golfers. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, like I'm not saying that me and Mason are bad because I mean, I apparently to my handicap, I'm a 6.5 handicap. But
Don't say it
you,
on here.
it don't matter. We're already at a flight.
At Tyler Glass.
But
How?
the thing,
I'm a
but like
17.
if you're, yeah, he is. He's like a 17. But you're talking about golfers though that like shoot in the hundreds all the time. Yeah, YouTube golf is more their like that. That's like, hey, that's me on most guys. On some of these guys. But go ahead, Mason.
No, I think it's cool to see that side of players like just out there, like we go out and do on a Saturday, right? Like, yes, you have your tournaments that you play in and stuff where you get serious, but like 80% of the time when you're going out there, you're just hanging out with your friends, and that's what these guys are doing on YouTube golf. So it just makes it more relatable. You get to see their personality, and how they act outside of these tournament settings, and I just think it's cool to hear, the back and forth and the banter that they do. Like, Colton, I really think if you watched that, you would enjoy it. Like, just the banter between Phil Mickelson and John Rahm and Bryson and all of them, just out there cutting up and joking and shooting the crap and knocking on each other, and different things. So it's just really interesting to me, and I think the PGA Tour could do something like that on like a Tuesday before, play 9 holes. That's what they're doing with these live duels, Put Scotty. People would tune in a lot to just watch Scotty go out there, just play a stress-free round, with somebody from the YouTube world. Scotty and Pat Perez, on the same team. Like them two, watching them. I just think it would be cool for the PGA to do something like that. You don't have to allow them to bring their cameras in, and I agree with that. But bringing in that YouTube audience, I think would help grow and, just bring more people to watch the PGA Tour because people really do like watching this stuff.
Any closing comments, Colton?
Let's give her picks.
Colton says YouTube.
Hey,
Real quick. Picks. Yes, picks.
Let's give her picks.
Yeah.
So mine, I'm gonna go with Ludwig Aubert. I'm gonna go with Cam Young. So
He does
I'm
play
gonna go
well
Cam
there.
Young. I like his ball flight, the low piercing ball flight running on the links. Like I think that's good. And then my sleeper is going to be Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed, I like it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Mason.
I'm just going to shoot mine out quick. I like John Rahm. He's my favorite. I like Xander Schauffele. I think, he's finished in the top 20, 13 out of the last 14 majors.
Defending champ.
Yep, defending champ. And then my sleeper, I guess he's kind of a sleeper, kind of not. He's been playing pretty well, but I'm going to go with Sepp Straka. Been playing real well, strikes the ball well.
Yeah, Mason, before you even sent that list out, my favorite's John Rahm. I really think he's going to prevail. I like him. Then Terrell Hatton, my 2 European guys, and then my sleeper is Russell Henley. So
I like his ball flight for it.
yeah. Well, this concludes another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. As always, go Cats.
Go Cats.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.